From Washington, this is VOA News. I'm David Byrd reporting U.S. Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia, the longest-serving justice on the High Court, has died. Scalia died in his sleep of natural causes at a vacation resort in South Texas. The conservative Scalia was 79 years old. He was appointed to the High Court by President Ronald Reagan in 1986. The White House said President Obama has sent his condolences to Scalia's family and plans to make a more extensive statement later. Chief Justice John Roberts, in confirming Scalia's death, called him an extraordinary individual and jurist, admired and treasured by his colleagues. Texas Governor Gregg Abbott, who first announced Scalia's death, called him an unwavering defender of the written Constitution and the rule of law. There are 9 justices on the Supreme Court. It will be up to the president to nominate Scalia's replacement, who will need to be confirmed by the Senate. However, an 8-member court can also decide cases. Pope Francis is celebrating Mass outside Mexico City after the first full day of his first official visit to Mexico. Earlier, the pontiff demanded Mexican bishops courageously challenge what he called the insidious threat posed by the drug trade. Pope Francis said the Catholic hierarchy must help Mexicans escape the violence and corruption plaguing their nation. Saturday morning at the presidential palace, the pontiff told President Enrique Peña Nieto and government authorities that those in public office responsible for the common good must be honest and upright and not be seduced by privilege. This is VOA News. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry says that Syria is at a turning point. Speaking at the Munich Security Conference in Germany Saturday, Kerry said decisions made in the near future could either end the Syrian civil war or define a very difficult set of choices for the future.
If the international community and the Syrians themselves miss the opportunity now before us to achieve that political resolution to the conflict, the violence, the bloodshed, the torture, the images of children, the bombing, the anguish is going to continue.
Summing up 2 days of talks among members of the International Syria Support Group, Kerry said that all sides agreed to work for a quick end to the violence in Syria as an essential first step toward a political solution to the 5-year war. Despite the UN Security Council's demands that all parties immediately cease any attacks against civilians, Kerry said the Damascus regime's offensive aimed at civilian areas has only increased. In a related story, Turkey's military shelled Kurdish militia targets in northern Syria on Saturday. The British-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said the shelling had targeted a former military air base near the Turkish border and a village captured from rebel forces by the YPG militia. Ankara considers the Syrian Kurdish Democratic Union Party and the YPG militia to be branches of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, which has waged a decades-long insurgency against Turkey. NATO's top official said Saturday that he rejects Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev's suggestion the Western military alliance had rekindled the Cold War. Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that all of NATO's recent moves had been in direct response to Russian actions.
But we are responding in a defensive way, in a proportionate way, and absolutely in line with our international obligations and agreements.
NATO has been conducting more military maneuvers in countries bordering Russia, as well as stationing equipment and multinational troops there, and has also established a rapid reaction force. The United States plans to quadruple its military spending in Europe to $3.4 billion by next year. And Colombia's National Health Institute said Saturday that more than 5,000 pregnant women in the country are infected with the Zika virus. The latest figures indicate a 23% increase over last week's total. The number of pregnant women diagnosed with the disease went up by almost 60%. There is no treatment for Zika, and much remains unknown about the disease, including whether it causes the birth defect microcephaly, in which babies' brains do not develop properly and they are born with small heads. For more, visit our website. I'm David Byrd in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.